Hello, hello, welcome. Another live video. We're talking about Married at First Sight. This is my first time ever watching Married at First Sight. My feelings got hurt from Ready to Love. So after that reality show, I was like, I'm not doing any more of these reality dating things. So I've watched clips from other shows. I'm not sure I've ever gotten into Married at First Sight, any of their clips. I think I know who is. I think they were Married at First Sight, right? Ikechi and That's probably the only couple I'm familiar with. So everything is basically new to me when it comes to Married at First Sight. I don't have anything from the past to compare it to. It just is what it is. So I first wanted to talk about production. I don't know all the production things, right? But I think these are the same people that do other shows that make Black women, right, go through these humiliation rituals. And I want to talk about maybe the experts and just overall how it's being produced before I get into the list of couples and, psychoanalyzing them based on clips from a TV show, right? That's the context for this. I am a licensed clinical psychologist, but I cannot diagnose anyone that I see on TV. But I do think there are some clear patterns showing up, which is why I wanted to wait until episode 12, like halfway, to get a better sense of what is really going on with the couples, with the individual people, right? Because you get more of their story as the show goes on. Hi, Mary Sparkles. Like, whoa, how are you? I want to share, because I think if you're not watching it, I want to show the pictures. I think it's helpful. And this is, like, I have two things here. Let's do this one. I want to show you the experts and get rid of Rakuten. So this is Dr. Lisa Paz and Paul. Okay, I'm doing okay. I had a really good weekend. I made it so that I would have a good weekend this weekend. So I had a lot of fun this weekend, and I'm ready to just do this live today. So I don't know anything about these people. I did look up Dr. Lisa Paz's license. So she is licensed, I think, in marriage and family therapy in Florida. So I think that is also reflected in how she approaches the sessions. So I don't know if this is like a legal reason that they call their sessions coaching versus actual therapy. They are doing therapy. Right? And it's a little concerning the way I'll get to it when we get to it. But I don't know anything about Paul. He definitely approaches this process like a coach, right? Like a life coach, and like a life coach who is doing what he thinks a therapist would do. That's how I see him, right? Because a therapist would not say some of the things that he's saying. I'm particularly concerned when they name emotions for the contestants, because that's just not, you don't do that in therapy. That's like the last intervention or strategy to help someone understand their feelings. You don't start off naming. And I don't know if they're doing something else, but like when he says, oh, are you in love? I don't know. He's asking like very specific emotion questions. And I've made a whole video, maybe I've made like 3 different videos now on the difference between coaching and therapy. Therapy is primarily focused on emotions and symptom reduction, right? So if somebody's coming in with trauma and you're helping them process their trauma, that's therapy. A coach should not be doing that. So, right, I'm concerned there. But these are the experts. So they are good at making a TV show. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. I don't have anything against the way that they're doing it. In my mind, this is a TV show. So this is a production for a TV show. They're allowed to not follow all the rules or to bend some rules, especially when they've gotten consent from grown adults. These are not teenagers. These are grown people. I think the youngest person is 29, 30. These are grown people. They're going on with both eyes open. Yes, reality TV is exploitative, but they are aware of that. they decided to do their cost risk analysis and said, I think it'll be worth it for me to allow myself to be exploited because I'm going to get some benefits on the end, even if it's just, I don't know, I get to know myself more in this process. Grown adults are allowed to do that. So I haven't heard anybody say this, but I'm not necessarily watching everyone's, review of the show. I did want to mention, because I'm not doing episode to episode, just my soul could not take it. Okay. I do like It Takes Two. I've recommended them before. I just like their reviews. I like that it's a married couple and that you get both like a very masculine, very feminine perspective on what's going on. I think it's enlightening. I don't agree with everything. And of course, they're not licensed mental health professionals, so they're going to miss that piece. But I like their like very mature perspective on relationships. I just love that. And then I am watching Lifestyle. Is it Lifestyle with Lex? She has clips of the shows in, and they have to be short clips because, Peacock, they're all very protective of their shows. Lifestyle with Lex. I like her reviews too. And somebody was recommending another YouTuber to me. And then I realized me personally, for me, it's important to follow very specific types of people. So not just the quality of their content or their integrity, but also what they're showing up as, right? And so it is a conscious decision of me to follow creators who I think like themselves or like their life. Not that I know anything about that, but that they seem to be happy or at peace with themselves. I think some of that you can see by the way that they look. And so I don't want to be, I'm not trying to start nothing, right? But it would be very hard for me to follow a creator, a Black woman creator who never wore her natural hair. I like to see myself reflected in what I watch. And I know Black women love to change their hair, and that's great. But if I never, ever, 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 ever see your natural hair, I feel very uncomfortable watching. So I really only recommend people who I think like their hair, because I feel like it's a reflection of them liking themselves. That don't have nothing to do with nothing, but the people I recommend, you will see a pattern with the way that they show up. Anyway, the contestants, the women, are all skinny, which is fine. It's fine. I think they do that with all these shows, right? You have to be beautiful, pretty at the very least, to get on these shows. Okay, I just want to say it out loud. I noticed it. I thought then all the men should be tall. If all the women are going to be skinny, I think all the men should be tall. That's my perspective. I don't think it's right that Nikki has to deal with my man is the same height as me, 5'5". I have nothing against short men. I literally, love of my life is the same height as me. I'm saying, I think on a reality show like this, where you all have access to so many people to recruit, to incentivize them to be on the show, I feel like you should also pick attractive men, or at the very least, an okay looking man who's tall. So I'm bothered by any of because doesn't everybody else have a tall man? Or somebody who's taller than them? Okay. I don't like that they made it appear that Nikki, this is production stuff. And so this is one of the things, because they also do challenges in the show. I don't really like those either. That whole hog tie, BDSM stuff, the dipping fruits in sticky liquids to then feed people with blindfolds on. I think all that stuff is gross. It does remind me of Love Island kind of stuff. It does make me think billionaire. I like when people say freaked out, but I don't feel like that's my word to use. It does make me feel like there is a very inappropriate, icky billionaire somewhere asking to see these kinds of things. I don't like it. I think it's gross. It makes me feel uncomfortable and cringy. So Nikki, when she was walking up to the altar, it's important to, I've been watching reality shows a long time, right? So even like the Real Housewives shows, they do these different production tricks. If you do not see them moving their mouth when you're hearing their voice, it is fair to assume that they're inserting audio at a time when that person didn't really say that. So they want us to not sympathize with Nikki, right? I think in this first 12 episodes, they really wanted us to feel like Nikki and Shawn are at the same negative influencing each other. Like, it's okay the way Shawn treats Nikki because she's rude. So at the very beginning, when Nikki says, oh, am I just supposed to stand here and wait for my husband? They made it look like she was saying that while she was standing right in front of him. That is, I bet that's not what happened. Because when she stood right in front of him, she smiled. She looked at him. She adjusted her dress. We hear the audio, but I imagine that she said it way back before she got down because she didn't know where she was supposed to stand. So she's just checking in with them. Well, am I supposed to stand here? It's like, he gonna meet me here, or am I gonna walk? Right? That's what she's asking. I think that rude, what you all are, not you all, I don't even know if y'all watching. Are y'all watching it? I do not think that Nikki was rude at all. I definitely think there are some ways that she's showing up argumentative with him, definitely in the beginning. But when you're being gaslit, that's kind of what I expect. And I really mean gaslit in the definition of the word, the clinical psychological definition of the word. Shawn is a liar, manipulator for the purpose of controlling. He's weaponizing language to make Nikki look crazy. And the producers help set it up by making us think that she's rude or that her standards are too high by spending so much time on her wanting a man with high income. Okay. Keep in mind, production plays a big role in the way we see all these people. Think about the things that they show. Think about the things that they probably are not showing. Okay. In production, they gave a lot of opposites, right? So, there are people who say Black women shouldn't be on the show because, these humiliation rituals, they really do Black women dirty. And they do, but they do everybody dirty. They exploit everybody. They don't care about anybody. All they care about is money and, right, exploiting people so that other people will watch so that they can sell more advertising dollars. That's really what they care about. So the atheist Christian might be the wildest pairing because top 2, 3, money, sex, and spirituality, religiosity. Those are the things people break up over. So you gave Tori a horn dog man who doesn't want to be monogamous and you made him atheist. Y'all hate women. Y'all hate women. Y'all don't want anybody to have a good time during this experience because they could do, and I think I would watch a kind of show if there were a bunch of Camerons and Michelles on a show falling in love. If you could just show me like everybody's going to argue eventually. There's going to be some conflict eventually. Maybe it's not going to be as drama filled as a lot of viewers are used to. A show wouldn't work. People really don't want to see happy people. They don't. So I understand why they don't do it, but the pairings are egregious. They're egregious. All the opposites are egregious. I think it's so gross and it's so disturbing. I do think that they should have separate beds. I don't know if it's Married at First Sight, who some of the contestants after kill themselves. Is it that or Love Island? One of these reality shows. Hey, Casey Star. One of these reality shows have had multiple people end their life because of the experience dealing with people after, like the viewers and the people on social media after. It is very disturbing. I think making them sleep in the same bed feels coercive to me because they know they're on a show, Love Island. They know they're on a show and they know that they at some point have to perform in a sense. Everybody on this show is performing, honestly. Some more than others. But everybody knows that they're being paid. Everybody knows that there are cameras. Everybody wants a good edit. Some people are being different versions of themselves, putting their best foot forward. Sure, that's kind of what I expect. Also, Married at First Sight is facing lawsuits in other countries due to SA on the part of the men. Yes, I feel like they need to, if they had a real psychologist on there, I definitely think they would advise them in different ways for doing the show that would be best for the contestants' mental health. They should be in like a suite that joins rooms or something. And maybe on like day 3 or whatever, like they need like intimacy activities where they have to look at each other or ask each other certain questions, not these like everybody's having to be asked, where's the weirdest place you had sex? That's a producer question. I'm disturbed. Okay. Making Adam's house sound like a lake house. I hated that. I talked about in my last video, if you haven't seen it, talking about, whether the men are gay or not. I can't say whether they're gay, but we had a conversation on that live about it. Maybe Adam comes from some kind of money, has some kind of generational wealth and doesn't have to work because it don't look like the man works, okay? Why don't we call him unemployed? Does he have a job? Huh? But Mecca has to be sanitation worker. I'm so disturbed by that. Mecca, his family owns a very lucrative cleaning company, sanitation, doing all the things. I don't like that they framed it like that, because literally Mecca and Adam could be framed the same way. Y'all making Adam sound like this rich guy and he don't have no job. Okay. I heard somebody mention that they have to do psychologicals. Now, I actually do psychologicals. I do, not right now, but my training specializes in what we call full battery psychological evaluations. It has a lot of tests on there. Okay, he has a job. When does he work? Venke. When does he work? Okay, I don't know. All we've seen Adam is jet skis. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam is working part-time, remote, or that was his last job. Especially with the way production treats him. I would not be surprised if his last job was data analyst and he don't have one now. Okay. I think maybe they do brief psychological evaluations on the contestants. I looked up the company that they mention in the credits, and they do risk assessments. It's not the same as a psychological evaluation. It's like a brief summary of the background. So in psychology, the most important piece of data is the clinical interview. That sets the foundation for everything. You have to ask the right questions to understand where this person is at and what symptoms they are showing in a risk assessment. It's very brief. You're kind of pointedly asking them questions based on risk, and there's probably one form that they have to fill out that probably anybody could get. As a psychologist, there are testing materials that only I can order, because in the hands of a layperson, they would not know what to do with it or how to interpret the data. So I don't think they're doing full psychological evaluations on them. I think they're just looking to see who might be dangerous physically and who might be litigious. It would be my assumption. I don't know, but they're not doing any real psychological evaluation where they are giving diagnoses. I doubt. These people are not giving diagnoses, because I would say it's probably inappropriate to give someone a platform, one of these contestants, a spot, if they really do meet criteria for a psychological disorder. They deserve love too. They don't need to be on a TV show doing that, harming other people in the process. Okay. I didn't like the voyeurism of the experts, right, in the scenes. I think it makes for great TV. It makes me uncomfortable. I think I would like it better if they had let us know that they informed the contestants that they would be watched like that. I think they did, but I think I need to know. Otherwise, I don't know. You're telling me therapists are secretly watching me? It just feels really, really disturbing. It kind of reminds, like, there's a whole conversation going on around therapists looking up their clients on social media, or, needing to make sure you have a social media policy, because you don't need to be watching me at dinner. What are you talking about? But this is a TV show, so I get it. Yeah, I talked about Dr. Paz. Yeah, they are doing therapy. They are doing group therapy, and they might be harmful. Now, I did see on Instagram, Mecca did comment on one of Paul's posts talking about one of the clips from the show where he's like calling him out or whatever. Paul is operating like a coach. Even the way he addressed Adam with his shirt open, a therapist would never talk to a client like that. You are not my father. You don't run this program. A therapist should not be calling out. It's a conversation. You're making observations, but a coach would. But a coach should not be co-leading a therapy session, a group therapy session. So it's inappropriate, but it's TV. So I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. It is what it is. Is this? Okay, so let's start with, who's this other person? Let's start with Adam and Marissa. Meet the cast. Let me scroll back up. Adam Marissa. Okay, let's take on Adam because the men are very interesting. The men are very interesting. I like how y'all keep saying he's a data analyst. Like, y'all working at the same company with him. I question everything. I know they say that. I'm questioning it. Okay. Adam, I'm going to do another video on, I don't know what I'm calling it, but it's about mental health professionals who are being inappropriate on social media, either diagnosing people or I don't know, saying or they don't have the right credentials for what they're doing. I'm just experimenting. Okay. So Adam, his family didn't show up for anything. Do we think they support him emotionally? I don't. I think it's interesting that Adam likes plants and animals. Right. I think those are like positive attributes about him when everything else about him is concerning to me, because he's very shallow. He loves to say cooked and bro and vibes. He acts like he's 21 and he's very attention seeking. He stopped drinking alcohol. I have questions around that. I wonder if he misused alcohol. I did hear him placing a bet. And I know it's pretty common for guys to place bets, but when we put all the things together with Adam, I wonder if that's also a concern for him, like some kind of gambling something. And I think he would be useless for raising kids, just based on the way he's treated Marissa. He's just very immature. I'm very curious to see what he's like when he's angry. He said he's been to therapy and that 2 of his girlfriends cheated on him. I wonder about the story behind the cheating, because was it like emotional cheating? Like, were they trying to get something? Like, were they having a hard time connecting with you and so they cheated? Or was it, I don't know. I want the story behind why they cheated. I'm just very curious about that. Was he pretending to be serious at the beginning to get on the show? I don't know. He seems like he's always been himself. He looked surprised when Marissa asked him if he's ready for serious questions, because he says he's more complex. But when they got into that conversation, he said he's open to a threesome and with a guy, and maybe it would be Felipe. He has given a lot of negative jokes about Marissa, from the painting he did of her. Now, if the woman came online on like a TikTok, the women get online on TikTok and saying, look at what my boyfriend did, look at what my husband did. And it's this absolutely horrific thing that he's done, but the woman doesn't see it that way. That's how I view the painting. He also made a comment about her needing a push-up bra. I do think this is an example of misogyny. I don't think he hates women, but I think he views women as extensions of himself and not like their own individual person. So they're more like an object. So honestly, Marissa is the kind of woman a man like Adam would be with, because she kind of just goes with the flow. And in her relationship when she was 23, I think she was with an older guy. That's why I think she hasn't said the age. I think the guy was probably older, who criticized her constantly. And she had to be perfect, doing everything that the man wanted. I think, in my experience, white women are conditioned to view themselves as in service or in servitude to white men. I think they're not really taught how to explore themselves and how to have a personality. If they internalize the misogyny, then I'm not an individual person who has their own interests. I'm supposed to do what I want. Yes, this is like a global phenomenon, but I do think in white households, they're kind of more so taught to be wives, but like in the specific way of subservience. And then there are women who push back against that, and then they're called man haters. But Marissa is trying to find her voice in this relationship. But she also appears to be pretty superficial. and not very mature. I think she's much more mature emotionally than Adam, but I don't really think if she had to lead the relationship, I'm not sure she would go deep. I think at some point she wants to have some serious conversations, but I wonder how important is that to her, or how much of a priority it would be. I think she would just constantly defer to the man to bring up important things. And even in this process, she's kind of deferring to the experts and the group to get Adam to come together and say, let's have a real conversation. Okay. Yeah, I don't think she knows what she wants. Why did she join the show? Everybody who joined the show, something is wrong with them. Wrong, it's probably a strong word. Everyone who joined the show did so for a very particular reason, because someone like me would never join a show like this. I'm way too happy and secure with my life. Loneliness is not really a thing I've dealt with since I was 21. So it's very particular types of people are interested in shows like this. Even if the men are recruited, right? Even when the men are recruited, they still have very particular reasons for joining the show, having a specific type of personality. I was really wondering what she likes. And when she said that they were going to split the rent, I was confused. She and Adam, why would they be splitting the rent? In the shack. It's not a shack. I'm just, I don't too much care for his edit. But she finally speaks up when she's in the group. And so we're getting more of a sense of who Marissa is. This relationship, I do not think is going to last. Do any other relationships last? I think 1 in 30 last? Because they are not really setting these people up to actually get to know each other and build something real. It's quite unfortunate, but such is life. Adam and Marissa. BelleJolie is my favorite woman on the cast. I do think that she is actually ready to be in a loving relationship, unlike the husband, Mecca. Look at Mecca. I think they look great together. I think they could work, but Mecca has a lot of work to do. Now, from where I am looking at their relationship, I think that Mecca likes BelleJolie. I know that some people are saying they don't think he does, right? That he's not really attracted to her. I think it's more so he's afraid to be loved, afraid to actually put himself out there. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure, but that's my thought process there. I like looking at myself bigger, but the people look better bigger, right? I'm being silly. Okay, so BelleJolie does a lot of nodding, right? She's quite agreeable. And I do think she was taught to defend Black men, like most Black women. I mean, it's a man with a job. He's hardworking. He's good looking. He's not harming nobody. I think Black women are taught to be defenders for Black men when they might be in jeopardy. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I would recommend it. There's nothing really wrong with that. We need to be a collective and do teamwork together. It's just that Black men are not conditioned to defend Black women to the same degree. And I wish there was more of that. Because I haven't heard Mecca defend BelleJolie. I mean, there's really no reason to. She hasn't really done anything. But he's not really going out of his way to advocate for her. Okay. I love that she was singing in that last episode. She gave him the green light for more intimacy and for more physical touch. I thought that was great. I said, thank God she does not chase men, because Mecca would probably have you chasing nonstop. Oh my goodness. And would y'all be a good sport about cleaning porta potties on a first, second, third date? This is part of the egregious way that they treat Black women on the show. When BelleJolie first said, oh, I don't know if this is me, or she ran out of the porta potty, he was supposed to say, no, you don't have to worry about it. Let me handle this. He was not supposed to let that woman clean the porta potty. I wasn't doing it. I don't think I would do it. I think I would go in the truck and walk up to it, and then I would run away, because there's no way. There's no way. I'm not doing that. I have so much written about Mecca. I said, somebody get BelleJolie a rich man. And you know what? Adam might be rich. Not Adam. Mecca might be rich. Mecca does a lot of overthinking. He needs everybody probably could benefit from some therapy, but I do think Mecca would really benefit from a trauma-informed therapist because of his specific abandonment and mother wounds. They need to be like really looked at deeper from somebody who is a specialist in that field, not from any one of these experts. And right, so he was talking about the sexual anxiety, and he's the one that's okay with being smacked on the butt. Okay. Why would he say she's more attracted? I do think that was just his insecurity. I think he has his father's voice playing in the back of his head, saying how things should be, should not be, and what's a sign of what. And if he feels like he's giving too much or doing too much, then he tries to pull back. Or is this a version of him like trying to humble her because he feels like he's the one pursuing her? Whenever he feels insecure, I think he says things that just don't make real sense. Just, it makes emotional sense. You're feeling insecure, so you're bringing this strange thing up. That's probably not even true. He probably likes BelleJolie more than she likes him. I think she is just sure of it. Right? She just, you're listening until your client comes. I think she's just sure that she likes him, whereas he likes her and is unsure of himself, or if he's safe in being able to really be vulnerable with her. Because his father is like, well, she didn't kiss you. She didn't kiss you. Yeah, the men are really immature. Who's mature? Even Devin in some ways, Devin is my favorite guy. Even Devin in some ways is immature, because in that last episode, or the second to last episode, where he is talking to Courtney, I'm like, bro, why are you not saying nothing wrong, but why do you feel like this is your place to tell her? All y'all know each other for like 2 weeks or something. This is very inappropriate. So yeah, he's probably projecting. That's really my guess. I don't know. I think he really likes her and is looking for her to try harder so that he can be sure, right? Like he wants her to express more and more and more so that he can feel sure that he's not giving without receiving back is what I think. I'm coming from the framework that I think Mecca likes BelleJolie. I think so. I don't know. It could be some other people are saying that he doesn't like her at all, that he would prefer a white or Asian woman. I don't know. But then he did say he really cared about Michelle's opinion. I thought that was kind of strange. I don't know why you view her as like the beacon of authenticity. But, you know, you also look at, you know, in my last video, some pictures about Mecca being really artsy. And maybe he doesn't like Black women. I don't know. I don't get that sense from him. I think he likes BelleJolie and is just afraid of being vulnerable and seen by her. And knowing that this is being recorded and that his father is also going to see it. And is going to be like, man, why were you so open with her? Why did you tell her you like her? I could just see him having his father in the back of his head telling him nonsense. I think his father is a predator. I don't know that. I don't know. Okay. I'm just looking at the clips of the father on the show on TikTok. I don't think his father is appropriate at all. So yeah, he probably performs the most. No, the 3 men on my thumbnail probably perform equally the most. He performs a lot. Now, BelleJolie wanting to say he doesn't perform, he just exaggerates. Okay, I don't know. We're talking about a degree of difference between exaggerating and performing. This is, again, her going out of her way to defend him. He's afraid of her not being all in and then pulls away. He admitted to strong feelings hesitantly, partially sabotaging himself. That's what I think. I think it's more like a sabotaging himself because he doesn't think that he deserves love. Now, the shutdown in the group therapy, group coaching, group therapy, the shutdown that he did is not, I've done group therapy. So sometimes clients do shut down. I do think I don't want to say they singled him out. I do think they were very direct with him in giving him information that he was not ready for. Sometimes sometimes group therapists make mistakes. We're human. And the client then comes and either shuts down in the middle of it, which should be called on during the session. It should be noted, and then you check on them after, right? Have a one-on-one with them. So to me, his shutting down it's a normal part of group therapy that at some point one or more of the clients are going to shut down, and it's part of the process, because I think what the people are saying are true. I think that's why he's so triggered and bothered by the information that he is performing, because he is, and he doesn't like that people are all catching that that's what he's doing. So Paul says he's a self-sabotager. This is part of the naming stuff that I didn't like. A real therapist, a licensed therapist would not, well, a good one would not name labels or emotions for the clients. That's like a last resort. You give them certain questions to help them uncover. You word it in a way like, so it seems like you're not really giving all of yourself to this process because you feel like, you're going to get hurt in the end, right? And then after, as a summary, you can say, that kind of falls under what we know as self-sabotage. You do not name it for the client and then say, then let's talk about it. But okay, it's a TV show. This is me reminding myself, it's a TV show. He did talk about being in trouble with Belle. I was like, in trouble? This is I don't even think you could be in trouble at work. Okay, this is my perspective. I quit jobs. The people can't keep me on a job. This contractor work is perfect for me because I work part-time. But I don't even believe in being in trouble at work. Trouble? Either you did something against the policy or not. Either you're doing your job or not. But in trouble? What you gonna do to me? Put me on punishment? I mean, I know there are performance improvement plans, but I don't view that as trouble. And it's nothing to feel like the emotion of feeling in trouble. You can have a feeling about these stupid people are putting me on a performance improvement plan because they're just trying to oust me, or I didn't actually make mistakes and I need support. But trouble, no. Grown adults to grown adults, I can't be in trouble with you. No. I think are fantastic. I think when BelleJolie said that she prefers him to shut down than express emotions outwardly, specifically anger, was a bit concerning. I think they both need a healthy outlet. I agree. Is that the same? Was that the group dinner or the group therapy when she said that? Because I was wondering if that was the one connected to the peen comments where she was like, I'm not gonna get no peen. I was like, girl, what are you? We have bigger fish to fry here, girl. I would agree. It is concerning. So, yeah. Whose face? When Tori said you're allowed to be human and love how you love. Oh, Mecca's face. Oh, yeah. This was going back to the last video I did, right? I don't know if this was a production thing or if it really was when Tori said, you're allowed to be, when she was talking about, but she was responding to whatever Felipe had said. And she said, you're allowed to be human and love how you love. I don't know. Mecca made a face, but I don't know if it was really the face at that right time. Okay. Moving on. Caitlin and Devin. Devin is my favorite guy. She said it at Courtney's birthday party. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Caitlin and Devin. Devin appears to be collaborative. I talk about operating from a dominance hierarchy or a collaborative hierarchy, right? Dominance would be what Shawn is doing. I think Devin is approaching this relationship from a collaboration perspective. Like it's reciprocal. I wouldn't use the word transactional because transactional is like one-to-one. I do this for you, you do this for me. I think Devin wants to show up as his whole self. I show you myself, you show me yourself, we have fun together. Good morning, Air Max 90. How you doing? Are you watching the show? Are y'all watching the show or y'all just watching the reviews? So Caitlin, I think is emotionally unavailable. I think I'll start with Caitlin. Caitlin said she feels smothered in relationships. She has a history of abusive relationship. Oh, I like that. Less than highly favored. Okay. Caitlin has a history of being in abusive relationships. I think that she is, well, yeah, there's too many episodes, right? I have time. I don't know. This time of the year, I guess. I think she's uncomfortable with peace. That's why she's talking about how she needs somebody who calms her, because she's so, no, girl, that's an inside job. You need to calm yourself. Okay, just reviews, let you laughing. And she doesn't like how emotional she is. Now, did y'all see the video I did on toxic parents? It was a Instagram reel that I was reviewing, and that lady was talking real calm. You know, she was saying, Love is Blind. Are the people who watch Love is Blind crazy? Like, are the viewers, like, does it get toxic like Love Island? Because I feel like a lot of people watch Love is Blind, and I think the more eyes that are on something, the more crazy people come out. Yeah. Oh, you watch it all. Caitlin? No, she's not. No, she's not. So she avoids emotional intimacy, and so she's exhausted by Devin. Okay, but the lady I reviewed, the toxic mother who was talking about her kids like they were doing something to her, Caitlin reminds me of that. Now, I don't think she's, I don't want to say she's not, I don't know if she's narcissistic or not. I don't want to put too much on Caitlin. I think, though, she is probably closer to weaponizing language than not. How about that? Because when she said Devin was gaslighting her, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. That was not what was happening at all. So they are, and like making it seem like he's wrong for wanting emotional intimacy. She does not like real plants. Oh, that's a red flag to me. Okay, Love Island is the worst one. Okay. She doesn't like real plants. That's a red flag. She in the dynamics that she has with Devin, it seems like she's trying to, not consciously, right? But it seems like she's trying to replicate the relationship dynamics that she's had in the past. She is used to being the victim. Now, what do I tell y'all about this victim mentality? Even if you are the victim of narcissistic abuse, there are some things after you identify that that's what it is, because I do think it's important to like not blame yourself for the abuse that you experience from the other person. After that, oh my gosh, this person is so terrible, you know, all these awful things. Then you reflect on yourself. How did this happen? How did this last so long? What are some ways that I showed up here that wasn't really my best self? That's what you have to do. You can't just walk around saying, all I meet are narcissists. You know, people are all so terrible. Everybody's so abusive. That's not the reality of most people. So there is something specific happening here. Let's dive deeper into it. So I think part of what I think is happening with Caitlin is she doesn't want to be the villain. Now, if you are in a relationship with an abusive person, you will never be the villain. You will always be the victim. If you are with a person who's similar to you, you're equal. Sometimes you're going to be the villain. Sometimes you're going to be the victim. That's the nature of a real relationship. I hurt you sometimes. It wasn't on purpose. You hurt me sometimes. And then there are things you're going to have to apologize for, forgive the other person for, because that's what a relationship is. It's not going to be happy stuff all the time. Caitlin doesn't want anything to be her fault. Everything I do is wrong. You see how she cries? To me, it's weaponized tears. I don't think she does. She thinks about it like that, but it very much gives the white woman tears. You called me a racist? Oh my God. And then they start crying when they did something harmful. So Devin is just like sharing his feelings and she starts crying like somebody attacked her. Nobody attacked you, girl. The man is just telling you how he feels being around you because you're not really putting in any effort to show him that you're interested. And maybe you're not. I think she is. I think she really likes Devin. You know, they're on Instagram, you know, still like in communication, commenting on each other's stuff. I don't know if that's to throw us off the trail or not. But I think she likes him. I think she likes him. I think she's attracted to him. I think she just doesn't know how to be a supportive partner in a relationship. She doesn't want to acknowledge how she contributes negatively to the relationship. She even avoids eye contact. Now, when I see people avoiding eye contact because of the work that I do wonder, is there some neurodivergence happening here? Is there like some overwhelm with people happening here? It's just a question I have. I don't know. But I think a lot of her avoidance of intimacy is because emotions just make her uncomfortable. That's what happens with a lot of abusive parents. Is my book here? A lot of emotionally immature parents. You can talk to them about anything except emotions. They are fine discussing school uniforms, fees, all those things. The minute you add something emotional to the conversation, they're like, I can't do this. I can't handle this. Oh my gosh, you're attacking me just because we started talking about feelings. That's what she sounds like to me. And then, yeah, she said he was gaslighting her. I mean, one of the biggest, I know I don't make a lot of videos for men, right? And sometimes I think about doing it and then I think too deeply about men. And I'm like, good luck to y'all. Maybe a man can help you somewhere else. But the way she is talking to him, disrespecting him, saying, you will never leave me, like those very, very hurtful things is specifically what a lot of men are worried about when they're in relationships with women. They are often more sensitive to words, whatever. Sometimes they really have a hard time not being supported with words, with emotions, and making these kind of comments. Now, I don't think Devin remembered it because he was drunk, but making these kind of comments can really chip away at a man's, you know, sense of self in the relationship or what he brings to it and really feel like he doesn't have a partner, right? He just has someone who criticizes and judges him. So please, girl, please, more. She's also one, I think, that's performing for the cameras. I think everybody's performing in a way, but she does have a good point. She has one good point, that Devin is probably not pointing out the positives that she does or the ways or even the effort, because I do think talking about emotions is very difficult for her. I think maybe he could compliment her a little bit more there, but she's not really giving much. I mean, she's really not giving that much. Yeah. And Devin enjoys the company of a woman. Now, he was borderline making it sound like one of those men who just siphons energy. I do not think, right? He doesn't come across at all abusive or a user or a taker. He really sounds like a giver. So in the context of that, I think he just enjoys yin energy. I think he just loves looking at a beautiful woman that he's with and being in her presence and having conversations and joking around with her. That's what he sounds like to me. He just is a lover boy. And there are a lot of men. My boyfriend likes to say men want love. Yes, men want respect, but men want to be loved, cherished, adored as well. I definitely think Devin wants that. He wants to be very romantic and mushy-gushy with the woman that he's with. I believe him when he says he's not needed. Not needed? What do I mean by that? In relationships, he's familiar with rejection. Okay, the man has been rejected a lot. And maybe it's because he's wearing his heart on his sleeve. And a lot of women are conditioned to view men and manhood in a very specific way. And if a man is not, even though he's like a athlete, if he's not performing masculinity in a very specific way, a lot of women can be turned off by that. But he's had to shrink himself in this relationship with Caitlyn, which has been noticeable by the experts and by his friends, which is really saying something. Now, he was describing, like, when they were out, one of the outings that they had, he was being himself, he was being goofy, and she just wasn't really looking at him or giving him any attention. Caitlyn was really trying to make it sound like, are you doing this to get attention, or are you doing this because you like to dance? Okay. What? Okay. Right. That is like the beginning of what can go to an abusive section, because what Devin is saying is, I want to connect with you, right? He's doing bids of affection, which to me is one of the easiest ways to tell if a couple is getting along, like each other, right? When someone says, oh my gosh, look at that. If the other person is disinterested, they don't really like you. They don't really care about what's going on with you or your world. You're looking for someone who's going to be like, what is it? Where is it? Because if you're interested in it, I'm interested in it too. He's looking for someone when he's dancing to give him eye contact, be flirty, to say, I see you, I got you. That is what is expected in a loving relationship, that you're going to give me attention. That's kind of the point, right? It's part of the collaboration that we feed off of each other. So I think Devin is very reasonable for expecting some kind of emotional intimacy in those small moments. For a lot of men, those small moments mean a lot. Maybe Devin is not like a typical man, because the emotion part and the rejection part, I don't think is a story most men could relate to. But his needs are very typical for people in relationships. Yeah, I didn't like him helping Courtney. I didn't like, I'm like, you're right, but this is not the way. Stop trying to help women who don't want your help. Okay. I did like that he apologized in the morning. You know, I do talk about, maybe you need to see a man in different scenarios, right? With his friends, with his family, out in public, you know, with no clothes on. Like, I think it's helpful to get a full range of who a person is. If they're also a person who drinks, I think it's information, what they do, how they communicate when they're tipsy, drunk, high. What are they like? Some people get angry, some people get mean, some people get drunk too much. Some people. Devin wants closeness. When he's drunk, he wants to be close. He wants to be connected, right? That's information. He was not verbally abusing her, accosting her when he was drunk. He was trying to hug her. He was, saying like, they sounded like therapy language in a way, but he was basically trying to express that he means no harm. I care about you, and I'm just trying to feel understood by you. It's really not appropriate to do that though. When drunk, you should calm down. And Caitlyn was very much probably triggered by the drunkenness, because she's been in abusive relationships where I would assume there may have been some alcohol misuse as well. That Harry Potter night was too freaking cute. Now, I'm obsessed with Harry Potter, so I was jealous. I was like, butterbeer. I went to a Harry Potter event where they made butterbeer. I was like, butterbeer? They made this just for Caitlyn. They didn't have to do that stupid hog tying stuff and the sticky fruit. That's not fair. That's not fair. Why couldn't everybody get a personalized experience like that? And what is she gonna do for Devin? Okay, that's Devin and Caitlyn. Are they gonna make it? Maybe. Well, we know Cameron and Michelle are gonna make it, because I'm thinking they moved to Peacock. They want to keep viewers. From what I've heard, there's been a long history of no couples saying yes at the end for Married at First Sight. And so I I think that they decided to actually pair two people together. So Cameron and Michelle's problem is living in different cities in the same states. They live like 2.5 hours away. That's their problem. It's not fair. It's not fair, okay? She don't have no daddy issues. He don't have no mommy issues. We're not wondering if he's gay. He doesn't make as much as she wants, but he has a pretty good career. They could have done this for everybody. They could have. But then it wouldn't be a good show, I guess. Whatever. Cameron has never been in a long-term relationship. Now, some people get pretty concerned about people who've never been in long-term relationships. As a psychologist, I always think it's important the why behind anything. So is it you've been too busy? You've just had short-term relationships? Like most people are not worth being in a relationship anyway. So the kind of woman that you're looking for, what Cameron is getting from Michelle, that kind of kindness and supportive language, similar to Devin, that's exactly what Devin is looking for. It is hard. I don't know. Evolved women are hard to find too. You understand? And a woman who's going to verbally support a man in this way, more likely, but I'm not sure that's the standard either. So it's not necessarily a red flag that he's never been in a relationship before. It's just information, and we need to understand the why. Like when someone says they're divorced, that's not a red flag, really. It's just a fact. Why is the divorce? Why did the divorce happen? What's the reason behind it? That's probably maybe going to be a red flag, just depending. So he did talk about flashes of running, which maybe is why he's been single for so long. And change is hard for him. He is worried about being trapped in a marriage. And I was thinking maybe he wants the status of marriage to enhance his life, like feeling like it's the next step in being an adult. I think that's a lot of people's approach to marriage. Is like, why just do it just to do it? And I did roll my eyes when they did get to the part about finances, because he was talking about feeling shitty that he doesn't make as much as she, was expecting. And right, this is a production part where I bet the experts had a conversation with Michelle about how much money the man is supposed to make. Why didn't we get 5 minutes of that? Because they want us to think that she's here for love and that's the most important thing. Okay. So he's very impressed with Michelle, which is great. I do think it's more likely for women to be impressive than men, sadly. So Michelle is very, I don't know, she's like regular, right? What's her, I don't think she like has a red flag. Does she? She laughs when she's uncomfortable. She does have fibroids, so maybe fertility is going to be the issue for her. But that's not really like a person, everybody else has like a personality thing. She doesn't really have a personality thing. Maybe concerns about health. But, everybody in life has a thing. Whatever, a part of your story that's, less favorable. I just feel like most of the contestants on the show have like a personality thing, like a big red flag that is something that they themselves can't control. Like the fibroids are often very unexplainable and hard to figure out the root cause of. Like that's not something she, created or can undo on her own. She has to go get surgery. So her and Cameron get along pretty well. Him making less doesn't really bother her. I think when you think about the whole picture of a person, which is what I encourage you all to do, it's not necessarily how much money is being made. I know I say a man that makes as much as you or more is what I would recommend, but I am really talking about lifestyle. Are y'all able to live a similar lifestyle? Who is paying for what? And are you all okay with however much somebody's paying? Okay. She did talk about having some anxiety and texting a guy 25 times in a row. I wondered how old she was when that happened. I think a lot of women can relate to feeling some anxiety about, does he like me? Does he like me? And double texting somebody. I don't know about 25 times, but double texting somebody because you just wanted to figure out why aren't they responding. But she doesn't really seem to have anxiety showing up in this relationship. Yeah, they get along so well. Even when she brings up the difficult topics, they look really cute together. They have been giving the romance in love edits, which is cute. Okay. She is interesting because when we got to see her house tour, I was like, you definitely have some depth and some character to you with the things that you've curated in your space, how you've been able to do things. Yeah, I did enjoy them together. I hated that romantic food, stick it in my mouth, eyes covered. I hate that stuff. But a lot of people work out pretty well together, even when they have to do that foolishness. She did bring up luck as a part of love. And it's something I think in the last year and a half, maybe I've incorporated it into my content, thinking about sometimes the timing, sometimes the way you meet that person. It's not gonna be anything you did. It's not like you're gonna intentionally say, at this particular time, place, at this event, I will meet the love of my life. Sometimes it just happens and there is nothing you did to control it or make it happen. That's when I think there's a bit of luck involved. They would not have found each other if they did not do this show together. And maybe that's a bit lucky. I think it's actual matchmakers. But I'm happy that there is at least one couple that will probably say yes at the end. I do think they're going to say yes. And next up is Courteney and Nick. Michelle spent too much time painting at home to find her husband. She did say that painting took so many hours, Elsie. Okay. I mean, as a person who also paints, I don't think it was her spending too much time inside. The dating market really is terrible. It is really terrible. The kind of people who are out there dating are just really messing up the dating pool for everybody. So Nick, Courteney and Nick. Courteney is a really good example of a Trump supporter. I don't know. I suspect, but I don't know. But I think she's a really good example of like what those ultra conservative people are like in their day-to-day lives. Miserable. Even coming from a two-parent family, I don't think she's unpacked anything about herself. When they asked her if her parents, I don't know if it was Nick asked her if she got into bodybuilding because her parents pushed her into it, she gave an answer like, Elsie has a panel? Elsie, what panel you have? I feel like I've clicked on your stuff. I don't remember seeing any what? Tell me about the panel. Casey Star loved it. I want to see if I'll love it too. Listen, Courteney, very insecure, probably did do bodybuilding to please her parents, but often these decisions come before a child really knows. Tell me more. Yeah, I have to look into it. You send me an email? What are you be talking about? The real life topics, social media hot topics? I think, I didn't. Okay, I have to look. I swear I looked, but I guess not. I think that Courteney followed in the footsteps of her parents to please them because that is often what kids do before they have any sense of who they are. Okay, very cool. Before they have any sense of who they are, they're trying to figure out how to do what their parent wants, right? How do I get love? How do I get attention? How do I get validation? Bodybuilding. Does she even want to bodybuild? I don't know. She doesn't want to live in Oregon. Is it Oregon? She doesn't want to live wherever her parents are. She doesn't like that city, but she wants the support when she has kids. I don't even know if that's really true, or she's just doing what she thinks is expected of her. I haven't watched any of the dating shows that Nick is on. Nick is probably the one holding back the most of his personality, I think. I don't know. But he's also a person who's performing and I think thinking in the moment of the edit, how he's going to be perceived. I don't know what shows he's been on or how he came off there or why he's single and came back on another show. Why is he single? I think he's I was thinking if Nick gave his sandwich order, it would be like ham, cheese, lettuce, tomato, and mayo. Not that that's a bad sandwich, but I think he's just a real basic guy. I don't think he's shallow. I think it just doesn't go that deep. I don't know that he's really even asked himself real questions about life. Like him and Courtney, I don't really expect to have an opinion about anything. I think they're just one of those people who goes with the status quo, is what I think. I have no idea, but that's what I'm thinking. He wants to be a star. Nick wants to be a star, right? He was having the conversation about what he wanted to do before he grew up. And it wasn't about being in TV and movies. And I think this is the way that Nick is getting that fix. He's bright lights on TV. Look, Mom, I'm on TV. I think he's getting that. I am still kind of fulfilling that dream. He is looking for physical intimacy, but he doesn't want it to be performative, right? He actually wants Courtney to like him, I think. But he's very performative. I don't know what his challenge in relationships is. Why is he single? You know, he says he wants to be more goofy, but I don't have anything else on Nick because he hasn't really shown much of himself. Why did his last relationship end? What's his insecurity? We're all insecure about something. What is his biggest fear? When the experts asked him a very pointed question, he couldn't answer it. I think he was very much like, the cameras are here. I have to make sure it's something that is going to be right or good for people on social media who are going to talk about me. There's not much there. I have a lot more on Miss Courtney, okay? She says she's a slow bird. I don't think she knows what she is. She doesn't like to cuddle. I think she's probably emotionally unavailable, similar to Caitlyn. Aren't they the ones that seem to be most close? I heard somebody else say this. Courtney wants Adam and Adam wants Felipe. Does Courtney, I think it's interesting that I haven't really seen people talk about women performing heteronormative relationships. And is there also a possibility, because we're saying some of the men might want to be in relationships with men, is it possible that some of the women might want to be in relationships with women? I used this example in my last video for Mecca, right? Because he was talking about his sexual anxiety. But Glennon Doyle wrote a book about her marriage and described what it was like having sex with him. She was very uncomfortable. She wasn't necessarily grossed out, but the way she described it was unlike anything I had ever heard. And it turns out she's a lesbian. I'm not saying that Courtney or Caitlyn are. I think they're emotionally unavailable, but I think everyone should ask themselves this question. Like, am I 100% straight? Am I just doing what is expected of me? Am I doing the status quo? Now, most people know in like second grade what they are attracted to. Your first crush usually happens around second grade, third grade. You know who you like. You like. Yeah. You know who you like. I don't know. But they talk so negatively about the guys that they're with. So Courtney was very much turned off by Nick not being a handyman, not being able to fix things. I think she prefers men who are hyper masculine. Caitlyn wants her alone time. She don't want to be around Devin at all. Courtney, I think the man that she probably would have gone for before is someone like a Felipe, someone like a Adam. Somebody who's overbearing, overtalks her, and doesn't give her space to have to pay attention to her thoughts or even have to ask herself what she likes. Yeah, Courtney is not a safe space. She told how Caitlyn told her about Devin at the party. Yeah. So I think he gives her the ick. I think Devin gives her the ick, but she's trying more than Caitlyn. And right, she's a good representation of MAGA, unhappy, probably needs to cry more. What does she want? From a relationship, what does she want? What do you want? Okay. She doesn't want to voice her needs. Remember what she said? Just throw me in the pool. I don't know. He could just throw me in the pool. You mean without your consent? You mean you want him to be one of those misogynistic, goofy men who harm women and think it's a joke? Caitlyn, well, and you saw her friends, Caitlyn's friends. I wonder if they all just decided to get husbands when they would prefer to be with each other, her friends that she said are mean. Okay. Courtney did make a strange Me Too comment, and I think it was sometimes, okay, I have done in-home therapy in white homes. I know how a white home is run, especially when there's, right, so they're seeing me, especially when there's trauma or abuse. I don't know how to explain it. The woke Me Too DI, they take the word and turn it into something else that doesn't make any sense. It's often what they do. They use it out of context. I wish instead of saying DEI, I wish they never shortened it. I wish it sounded stupid when people said the letters together, and that people actually had to say diversity, equity, and inclusion, because they use DEI for a synonym to Black, when if you really said the whole words, it would be much harder to do. Not the lavender marriage punch. Oh. It's very interesting, this convo, not only about who likes the same gender romantically, but also who doesn't like the other gender in general. Yeah. Oh yeah, when she said, I'm not one of those Me Too women. Yeah, but she's really talking about, she's not talking about Me Too at all. She's talking about weakness. She's like, I'm not a weak woman. It's really what she's trying to say, because she thinks women are weak who come forward and say that they were assaulted. So what also happens in this case is the women can't be victims themselves. So she sounds like she was assaulted and she blames herself. Now that's exactly what the Me Too movement is trying to get women to not do. It's not your fault that you were assaulted. No, you literally have zero responsibility for an assault. The person who did that needs to be held accountable. I liked how Devin responded to her, right? I do think this is part of what relationships are for, the evolution of your soul, to give you that space where you can heal and you can get someone who cares about you telling you, I don't think that was your fault. I don't think you should blame yourself for that. Does Courtney realize that DEI also affects women's bodybuilding? Well, I'm just using the DEI example. She hasn't brought up DEI. I'm just assuming that she probably would not like DEI. Yes, if that happened, then she may not report a crime because the embarrassment of family. Exactly. I highly doubt that she reported whatever happened to her, because in our society, you blame women. It's always a woman's fault. And if women or femininity is seen as weak or lesser than, and you internalize that, you're going to operate from that framework, that internalized misogyny, and you are going to be misogynistic to other women. You're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You're not going to explore your sexuality if it needs to be explored at all, you're always going to, do the false hierarchy that society has given us, which is, unfortunate. Yeah, she called them bad sexual experiences, but I do wonder if it was some kind of assault. She said she kind of gave up after being cheated on. That cheating on did sound traumatic. Yeah, there's always like a scapegoat. The cheating is bad. Sometimes the way people find out can be quite horrific and scar them for life. I'm not saying that's extreme in her case, but giving up on relationships after being cheated on makes a lot of sense because it's so hurt. So I think she thought that she was supposed to suffer for a man. She hates awkward silence. I think she just hates silence because then she has to listen to her own thoughts and her thoughts scare her. I don't know that, but that's what I think. And maybe she's numb. When did she say she was numb? I put it in quotations. She doesn't know Keanu Reeves. I think that's another red flag. Yes. Didn't she say she blamed herself for not questioning when she saw her man with the woman on his bed studying? Or did she say she blamed herself? She does sound very hard on herself for not leaving sooner or not ending things or for being so in love, right? Like maybe dumb in love, young, wishing the best in whatever interaction. Sometimes it happens like that you don't necessarily meet someone who is ready for the relationship at that time, because not every man cheats. Okay. Well, and then her gut told her to get on this show. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that she doesn't know who Keanu Reeves is. That's strange to me, but I think it's a reflection of the content that she consumes. Keanu Reeves is not, I think he's biracial, right? But he's not, I think she knows who Arnold Schwarzenegger is. I don't think she's well studied, well versed, open to diversity, to difference. I don't think. Thank you. Flower. I don't think she knows much about much. Yeah. She also, I think on the wedding day, somebody was talking about drag queens. Somebody told me that Devin does drag, or he was in a drag show or something. Is that true? He does. He passes, but he's not like, when the white women are talking about a white man, they're not picturing Keanu Reeves. Very sheltered, but by choice. Yeah, I feel like she's one of those people who are in the echo chamber, and it's just American whiteness that they are surrounded by. And so maybe you told, okay, is that true? It's a very Seattle thing. I've never been to Seattle. Somebody told me when I lived in Cleveland, somebody told me Cleveland had more cloudy days than Seattle. I have been to Seattle. I lied. I was a kid though. Okay, it doesn't even matter. I want to see him on it. He guest appeared on show. I want to see it. I think it would be so cool. On drag, okay. So on the first, on their wedding day, one of Nick's friends were talking about drag, and Courtney thought they were talking about drag racing cars. I would. Did you just put in Devin? Not Devin. Nick drag? Seattle? What did you put in? Let me know. I want to look for it. Okay. She's never been in a loving relationship and no date nights, which to me tells me a little some about the home that she grew up in. And so this is a whole aside. I was watching a video by a Christian content creator. I think it's single and Christian, solo Christian, whatever. She was interviewing her mother and they were going over, okay, I'm gonna look for it. She was going over her mother's story on love and relationship and marriage and her father and all that kind of stuff. And you just never know what's going on in people's homes. So she was telling, her mother's a pastor now, but she was telling the story of how her father abused drugs, and the whole time, like, she convinced him to get married, and the whole time he was trying to end things. He was leaving, he was cheating, he was, he had a whole other baby. But the mother, she acknowledges, I had low self-esteem, I just couldn't. And the daughter is hosting the podcast and has never been married and needs to be married so bad, just like her mother needed to be married so bad. And I was just like, you just never know what's going on in people's households. And so I would not be surprised if Courteney, even though her parents are together, that bodybuilding stuff is an extreme. I can only imagine what control was like in their household, what food discussions were like in their household, what feeling conversations were like in their household. Yeah. What is she consuming that she never saw Keanu Reeves? What? And you don't even know that they were in the context that they were talking about. You're assuming they're talking about cars. They're not actual drag queens. Nick. Yeah, it's Nick. I find most Black men that are originally from Seattle kind of What? I don't think I've ever met a Black man from Seattle. Okay. Oh, a different world over there. Now I want to go. I could put Seattle on my list next year. Okay, I think that's it for Courteney. Oh, I did wonder, is her mother a Karen? Did you see her mother? She has the right haircut. She doesn't feel Nick is being vulnerable. She's right about that. Nick is not being vulnerable. He's not showing his true self. She's not romantic. I thought it was strange how she was saying, I would never do this. I would never do this. And what's the point of lingerie? We're going to all be naked. That sounds like something a man would say. And not a man who doesn't care about, fine details or beauty. A man who is misogynistic, who is prioritizing sex over the process or even the woman's experience or the other person's experience. I feel like somebody probably told her that. Like there was a version of Courteney who tried to be herself or was herself in a relationship, got shut down. And so she's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not romantic. You're not? Are you sure? Because you were talking about liking corny things. To me, romance is corny. She was pissed. Adam said Portland was Walmart of the region. I don't know enough about the areas. I mean, I get the analogy. I don't know enough to be insulted. What's wrong with Walmart? Walmart on a Saturday at 3. Okay, I think it's different than Walmart on a Sunday at 9 a.m. Yeah, so they all got the same weird sex question. That's a production thing. She was blaming herself for the harm in a relationship, and then they did a real kiss. The kisses look so awkward. And then her having to kiss in front of the experts. And then I said, she's so negative, even through jokes. You are screaming. Portland is more grungy than Seattle to me. When I visited Seattle, I'm pretty sure at least I want that guy. Assuming she doesn't have trauma, what could drive the behavior? I think it's misogyny. I think a big part of the way Courteney shows up is believing that the patriarchy is accurate in how it molds people. That it is, you are a better person if you're white. You are a better person if you're skinny. you are a better person if you perform femininity well, and that you're with a man who performs masculinity well. I think that's a big part of it. I think she's also insecure. I don't know what. I don't know. Being dumb and young. I think she's insecure about certain things. And so there's like a pointedness about how her insecurity attacks other people. That comes from her framework as a young white woman raised by probably anti-Black white people who think they're better than other people because of their whiteness. I think there's something there. And then she's also, I don't know if it's sheltered, but brainwashed. Yeah, I think she does like hypermasculine. I think that's what she sees as a real man, right? In her eyes. Nick is not that. I think Nick is too soft-spoken to meet what she would expect hypermasculinity to be. Thank you. So in a way, right, it's a woman who's adhering to the expectations of the patriarchy, which is flawed, and it harms women and men. Tell me more. Okay. I relate to Courtney, and I was annoyed that I do. I've been shut down a lot or told about my personality, and now I'm working on getting back to my core self. I do think there is a core self under there for Courtney. I do. This is why I say I like everybody on the show. The only person I really have an issue with is Shawn, because I suspect that he's abusive. I think Courtney represents just the brainwashing that most of us get. And if you didn't grow up with her specific parents or in her specific city, right, you view the world differently. I grew up on an island with a bunch of Black people. So there's no way, this is the way I'm going to understand, race. But there are parts of the way I was conditioned, because in the Caribbean and African countries, we're more so sold on like this benevolent patriarchy. And so the men have standards that they have to meet, which is a lot of the doing, right? Even if they don't want to embody or perform masculinity in that way, it's a very high expectation of them that they are going to mow the lawn, that they are going to put gas in your car, that they are going to pay all the bills, that they are going to still cook and clean. There is this expectation, but it's still patriarchy. So it also means that there are predators in the community who get off, who are not held accountable because they're a man and they're helpful in the community. It means that women and girls are less likely to be believed when they're taken advantage of. There's so many stories of 15-year-olds being with 30-year-old men when I was in high school, and it being this like okay thing because he's taking care of her. He's giving money to her family. It grosses me out. So patriarchy in all the senses means power and control. Domination is their framework. That's why we have to get it. I'm in Atlanta. That's why we have to like tear it all apart. We have to tear it down, change it. I moved to Atlanta in 2019. I love Atlanta. She is so disrespectful, so casually. Yes. And probably eventually might get to that. I don't like the word emasculating, but specifically for disrespecting someone based on their manhood is what she does. Seems like she likes a man that will neck her. I agree. I feel like white women like to be in combative relationships the same way they are often friends with women they hate. I don't know if they like to be in combative relationships. I think if they are also operating, just a different way of saying this, I think if they are operating from a dominance hierarchy as well, I'm supposed to be dominated. And they are not the kind of woman who wants to be submissive, they're going to be combative. And more white women, right, because of the generational shifts and all the advocacy that is happening for women to also work and be independent, I definitely think in one part of her brain, she's like, I'm supposed to be submissive, but only to a very masculine man. And on the other brain, it's, I'm an independent, hardworking woman. I'm not supposed to be submissive to nobody, right? How do you get to collaboration? Ooh, I think at her core, she probably would like collaboration, but then that wouldn't really fit in the picture perfect American man is a provider kind of mentality where you are taken care of. Yes. The performance of masculinity. That's why our, this is a microcosm of the bigger picture. It's why our officials are who they are. Why the Senate and Congress and all these people are who they are. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so she's so negative. Moving on to, oh gosh, Nikki and Shawn. Nikki's a little argumentative. So she is showing up as a certain version of herself in this relationship with Shawn. But I think what we're seeing is only how she would look if she was in an argument. Right? I do not think we're even seeing, I think we're getting like 30% of Nikki's personality because she has not been safe enough to show herself, like her authentic self. And she's having to defend against, I'm sure, whatever energy is coming off of that man. He scares me too. And the gaslighting, right? I think she's like playing defense and not really being able to relax and just be herself. Yeah, he's gross. So we're just seeing her in combat mode, in defense mode, really is all we're seeing with Nikki. So she's coming off as serious, and she probably is a very serious, not serious. She probably is like very structured and put together and organized, but she's coming off as very serious and the worst version of herself with him, right? Toxic relationships will bring out the worst version of yourself. The minute she disagrees with him, there's an issue. He does not want a woman who disagrees with him. Wait, what's your view of Shawn? He don't scare you? You don't think he's abusive? Bordering? I can't call the man abusive, but he uses abuse language. That comment about wanting to speak on their relationship without being disrespectful should have been a thought. Yeah, she shouldn't have said that out loud, okay? I said she should let Shawn speak first, but this is because I think he is manipulative. And so I think the way she handled the last conversation, where she didn't put up much resistance, is the way I think is best to engage with somebody who is being abusive. I don't know that he's abusive, but somebody who you suspect of manipulation. Let them talk. They will tell on themselves. Shawn will tell on himself. He's trying to paint her as crazy. And I think it was easier to do in the beginning because people really thought that she was being rude. But she's not crazy. And everything she's saying is more accurate than him. He has a hard time being told no, and that's scary. I completely agree. Shawn is an issue, but I'm focused on what is not said. How he knows how to tie them. Oh, okay. You said this before? That's funny. Okay. He can. There are lots of straight men that are into BDSM too. So, okay. I think she should let Shawn speak first. Well, honestly, this is child's play. This gaslighting is child's play. Gaslighting can get to the point where someone literally feels crazy, where someone literally is questioning everything about themselves and their life. This is intro to gaslighting. What Shawn is doing is intro to gaslighting. This is why I usually don't use the word gaslighting, because most times people are just lying, right? If somebody gets cheated on and they say, no, I didn't sleep with her, that's not gaslighting. That's just lying. But what he's doing, all that, oh, and her different personalities and all of that stuff, where he's trying to paint the picture that something is wrong with her, that's gaslighting. Okay? Shawn reminds me of an ex-coworker of mine. Just you are so funny. Thank you. Okay. The people see him as innocent and her as the aggressor. This is often what abusers do. They tell stories about you to other people and they make you sound crazy. And so when you go and get help or go and try to have a conversation with, your mutuals about what's happening, they believe him, not you. Now, why did she straddle him? And she said, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it didn't seem like the whoa, whoa, whoa fit in when she went to straddle him, because he didn't pull her down. It seemed like she initiated it. I don't know. Maybe she was feeling a little lonely that night. Okay. Right. Because at the dinner, Shawn was on his phone and didn't defend Nikki when the people were coming at her, talking about how they thought that she was saying that he was short. I did not get that from what she was saying. I very much thought she was saying, I can't really tower over you. Like, that's not, I'm short. Wait. But Nikki said that Shawn was saying the same thing to them. He says to her face. What did she say that? After they made their pact, you think? Because I do think they had an HR conversation with each other and said, we're not going to act too crazy. They love to paint you as crazy, as the crazy one. Also, they will provoke you to get an outsized reaction from you so they can see, yeah, look at her, she's crazy. I really think that's what Shawn was looking for after he asked for the mutual masturbation. That when she came back, because it would be appropriate. It would be appropriate to go off on a man who is gaslighting you. But you understand that's exactly what he's looking for, to make you look crazy. Yeah, he wants her to go off on him so she has a reason to act the way he acts, but she's not falling for it. Thank goodness. I was so glad when she just stayed calm and said, oh, okay, and pisses him off. I feel that towel scene was for her to act crazy and she didn't. Yeah. Nikki's finally playing the game. She said that on the corner argument on the street, he embarrassed her and said same thing. Oh. He's, it's always so funny when the guy is like, what'd he say? We'll just leave then. We'll just leave. To me, just leave them is the same as I want to break up, right? Like, you're going to make it sound like she left, but you told her to leave. It's not the same. Yeah. I think her and Shawn had a powwow and decided that, yeah, I think so too. But do we ladies go off on a man we don't want? Maybe I'm wrong. So you think she wants him? She was the one climbing on top. Maybe she's a little interested. This is a TV show. She is HR, so she knows how to keep her composure in tough situations. Maybe she's in her head said, right? Maybe like why she was able to be so calm is because she doesn't care. Like, it doesn't matter. I stopped liking you 2 days ago. Who was Shawn to tell her to leave? She left. She did leave though. Yeah, I think they had the weird black conversation. I do think Nikki is one of those women who wants a man to lead, but she's a leader. And I'm just like, I do think women like Nikki meet men, like men her age, who are still single, probably would not want to be with a woman like her. We're going to be having a bunch of HR conversations and you're going to be trying to tell me what to do. I feel when a woman is calm, she doesn't care. And I agree. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have answers to all like the dating differences. Like maybe there really is a man with a lot of yang energy who wants to be collaborative and would be interested in a woman like Nikki. I just feel like this is why I talk about the lifestyle needing to match, but also a man needing to be secure in who he is. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who would be a good fit for Nikki. What kind of guy would be a good fit for her? A man around her age or older who wants to be with her? I definitely think it's possible. I don't know. I'm thinking when I went to Portugal, there was a couple on the trip and they were older, right? And so they just like travel together and have fun. They only got married because they were an Asian couple. I think they were Japanese. In their culture, they're viewed more respected. They got married because of the parents, which is I think a valid reason to get married. And they were just having so much fun together, really like enjoying each other's company. We never got into like money stuff, or I think they told me what they did for work, but I don't remember. I'm thinking maybe Nikki would be a good fit for a man like that, right? Who has a lot of free time, who has like the passive income. I don't know. At their age, to find someone with no kids and a career is few and far between. I think I missed when she said that. She wanted a man with no kids who made all this money and tall. Girl, that man would not be on this dating show. A 2K, 250K salary, Nikki needs matchmaker. I thought the same thing. I think in the first, when we were first introduced, like the first 3 episodes, I was thinking, why didn't you pay a matchmaker? But maybe she did. Maybe she did and we don't know. Nikki seems fun and lighthearted without Shawn. Yeah, I feel like she just wants to like have fun with the guy she's with. And I feel like she could do that. Feeling she needs to have a sexual relationship with her husband. No. I said no. And Nikki looks like her house. Shawn looks like his house. Now, what I saw, I expected. I did expect Shawn's house to look like a bro because he's not authentic. He's not being real. So she was light on that couch. He's performing. That's it. Yeah. That lady does not want him. I agree. I don't think she wants him. She's just putting on her best for the camera and can say, look, I really tried. Because there are some people who say no at the altar, right? I'm not sure. Do they show people that? Stop. Do we get to see when people say no at the altar? Because that's happened. I'm sure it's happened. She should have said no at the altar to Shawn. Okay. Shawn is controlling. This is like my beginning thinking of him. Controlling, wants power, right? That was my first initial impression of Shawn. And yes, that's true. Okay, Denver had a no. He is someone who says he wants to be a provider. I think he wants to be a controller. And all that, can I get a kiss? Can I get a kiss? To me is just manipulation. Because he's really not okay with no. So he should be just waiting for the person to show in body language that they are interested in him. He knows she's not, so you really shouldn't be asking for a kiss. Wait, he wants his butt smacked too? Wait, him and Mecca said this? I didn't remember that. I want my butt smacked too. He's terrible with being told no, especially with sex. Now, to me, this is a red flag, and I encourage people to leave at the first red flag. A man who cannot take no is not safe. I see Shawn as the sub cause. Even how he acts for kisses is sub. Yeah, well, I actually agree. I think Shawn wants. I think Shawn wants to be dominated in bed, but I also think he doesn't really want to be the dominant one in his relationship. I think he thinks he should be. Can I get a kiss? It's so juvenile. It's so low vibrational. Yeah. She needs to let that lead mess go. She and go for an egalitarian relationship. I agree. She should also try meeting someone abroad, an Albanian or a Greek businessman. Okay, Ali. I do think she needs to date outside her race, for sure. In America, there's, I don't know, as Black women, I have so many thoughts. The only way I would date a white man is if he was culturally Black or if he had unpacked his racism like fully. I'm not having a conversation with a white man about racism. And I'm not teaching a white man about racism. I don't have no time for that. But I do think there are some men who are more egalitarian, which is, I think, what a modern relationship is. Not the typical gender roles. Sure, if you are doing the, I have more yin energy, you have more yang energy, there are some ways that we're going to show up in the relationship. I don't know. There are some ways they're going to show up in the relationship, but trying to adhere to all the gender roles, I think, is a recipe for disaster. Why is the solution always find a rich white man? Well, maybe that's why she said Albanian or Greek, because ethnically they're not white. The divorce rates between white men and Black women are the lowest among all racial groups. Maybe that's why. I don't want a rich white man. I like my Black rich man. In America, there are a lot of binaries. White, Black. And so if we're talking about Black people think of the opposite, which is white, when there's a whole bunch of other groups in between. Because maybe the pairing we should be encouraging more is Black women and Asian men. Well, racially, sure. They're not like American white. Does that make sense? Seattle, it comes down to demographic. It's 4% Black. There is also a very high number of millionaires here if she wants to date a local. Yeah, white. I mean, colonialism has touched almost every place in the world. So there's that. But a lot of non-American white men wouldn't really identify as white, right? They would identify. Okay, why are we talking about this for real? Because there are more rich white men than rich Black men. That's true. Many rich Black men marry out. That's true. My girlfriend is looking for her Asian king, and I crack up. That's hilarious. Not which part doesn't make sense? I'm just giving you statistics. I'm not saying it has to make sense. The statistics don't really lie. Have you had conversations with an Albanian or Greek man? They do not have the same values as an American white man. I'm not talking about an Americanized Greek man. I'm talking about a Greek man in Greece. It's not the same. It's just not the same. But it's funny how we got here. Okay? It's funny how we got here. You will not find me on my channel trying to get women to be with rich men. I'm not. That's another content. That's another, yeah. Every colonialism is everywhere. There's a something everywhere, but it's just different. Okay. He's weaponizing language. Shawn is weaponizing language. He's argumentative. He is 100%, this is my opinion. He's 100% more of the problem than Nikki. He's very competitive. So even in his relationship, he is operating from this dominance hierarchy and in competition. We saw that like so perfectly and clearly with how he described their homes. You talking about how you're not impressed with her home that's like 3-5 times better than yours, and that you have friends who are more bougie. We're talking about you and her. You're not more bougie than her. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he likes to feel superior, Shawn, because he feels inferior. Yeah. I think in her case, I'm saying this because they navigate relationships a bit like they run businesses. And I think she'd do well in that dynamic. I'm not sure if I'm describing what I mean correctly. No, actually, I think you're describing it pretty well. Who was I thinking? Tori. I think Tori is perfect for a rich white man for this exact reason you're describing. So I follow, well, I don't really follow her, but I check in every now and then. Oh my gosh, what's her name? She was making level up content and then stopped because she reached the level and then had to sit back and look at her life, which is what I encourage y'all to do at the beginning. You don't need a rich white man to look at your life and say, is this really the life I want to be living? But once she got there, got all the bags, got all the things, then she just had to be with herself and be like, what am I doing? What is this? What is happening? No, not Shira. No. She's also from a different country and she has lips similar to Tori's. I did a review about her recently. She's white. No, she's white, but I forgot her name. And she's with a rich white man, European people. And I think, I know, how did I get here? I watch a few lives, but I always watch them on the replay because the derailments just send me. I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? And I just saw her in Tori. I just think Tori would be so great as a rich man's wife. I think she would be so happy. Give her the card, right? Give her, and what's his name? Felipe has the money, I think, to be able to afford Tori, the lifestyle, but not the demeanor, right? Because you're talking about running the relationship sort of like a business, the marriage, because they're going to be planning for generational wealth. They're going to make sure their kids go to the best schools. Felipe is not going to be hands-on with any of that. And I don't think he's going to care one way or the other. I think Tori needs a man who is going to care about the christening or the baptism. Okay. Do you think the church is also a problem with him? How Shawn shows up? But there's been very little discussion of, does he even go to church? How much is faith important to him now? I haven't heard him discuss that. Would they have to go to church every Sunday if they're together? So I don't know. That's a good question, though. How is it showing up? Because I don't know. Yeah, she did have one. Yeah, he doesn't give rich man. Okay. He's not polished. I wonder if Shawn's father expected him to become a pastor. I wonder too. I also wonder if we're going to meet Shawn's friends in a more informal setting. Does Shawn have friends? Okay. He said, remember when he was describing the two suns in the solar system? I think he was, I think this was more of his domination stuff. And he said, men like someone to give them structure. That's not true. Men give structure. Men often like the motivation that comes along with, being around a pretty woman. If you think if men are about to race, they're racing different if there's a group of women there watching them versus if not. Shawn's dad said he was going to be a doctor. That's true. I also did not like how Shawn said he was a doctor at the beginning, right? At the altar, when you know good and goddamn well that you ain't no real doctor. You were supposed to say, and it pays to be a PhD. You make it explicitly clear that people are not dealing with a medical doctor. Having to do that after, give her the information after that you're a doctor of, philosophy, education, that is not right. Were there Black friends at his wedding though? I think there were Black people there. So what is this? Fake repetition advice to Courtney? Oh, yeah. Remember when he was telling Courtney, sometimes you don't like to work out, but you have to do it even if you don't want to. He was also going to use that analogy for sex. That is gross. It's not the same. Thank you, right? It's not the same. You'd like to see Shawn's mentor again. He gave him good advice. Yeah, and he probably only knows him in a professional setting. So, yeah, he needs to relinquish the title of being the boss and be more authentic. I say, is it just lack of compatibility? The couples don't believe that they are on a better page now. I don't believe it either. He said he wants romantic sparks. Saying thank you for a kiss makes it exactly the way he frames it, like a favor that's being done for him versus an experience that they're sharing. So I don't like how he talks and thinks about it. Yeah. Requiring a woman's body to masturbate. Insert Erica De Niro TV. Okay. The men just want to use y'all to masturbate. Not all men, of course, but a lot of them who do not see women as autonomous human beings are just using. Yeah, I said my last things about Shawn, scary, cringe. His house does not look like a VP. He's a vice president at a university, living like that. Ugh. I wonder what Shawn's family thinks of him since seeing the episodes. Maybe it all makes sense now. Maybe. He's embarrassing. Okay? Gross, cringe. Maybe I don't know what his previous relationships were like. Okay, so then our last couple, Tori and Felipe. Tori really does look like a rich man's wife. It's okay to put in the work, but do you care about him as a human being? He knew he would think he meant medical right. He knew that, and that was just the beginning of gaslighting to come. That he would manipulate and weaponize language in this way to get people to think a certain thing about him when it's not real. It's not authentic to who he is. So Tori, what is up with her? She does have trophy wife vibes. What is up with her sexual history? I suspected that the first time, yeah, it very much gave, like, I don't know, bachelor's degree. I'm not elitist, I swear to God, but it very much gave like, this is my first big boy job. Yeah, he's a weirdo. When Tori left the room after having sex with Felipe for the first time, what I thought, I didn't initially think, oh, there must be some sexual trauma here. I initially thought Felipe fell asleep. There was no debriefing after. There was no cuddling after. She wasn't checked on emotionally. I think it happened and he just went to sleep. And I think the walls echoed in the silence of looking at him while he was sleeping. And she was just there, left with her thoughts and emotions. That's what I think. Y'all don't do a debriefing? Listen, that's like some of my favorite... One of my favorite parts of being in a relationship is that after. Just, what's next? Yeah, I think he checked out. So it was kind of odd how she was saying she didn't have a hard time when her mother had cancer. What do you mean? Well, she was the one that was going through it. Was that like your supportive language to like not make it about yourself while you were supporting her? But it's okay for you also to be stressed out when your mother is battling cancer. She's a fixer. She's the strong friend. And she describes herself as an avoidant. I think they enjoyed the sex. Right. I think there was no aftercare. Did anybody get a cloth? Okay. Did anyone tuck somebody into bed? Give a kiss on the forehead, the cheek? A prolonged period of eye contact after? That's what I think should be happening after the first time. We need to like be here together with this experience. It was a big deal. But I think the actual intercourse probably was good. And I think she wanted it, right? I think before it happened, she felt ready for it. Yes. I'm not going to say nothing bad about Paul. Yes. I think Paul is qualified to do this show. Yes. Paul is not a licensed therapist, so he shouldn't be doing therapy, but Paul is great on the show. Yeah. Aftercare is important. So yeah, she says she's an avoidant, which is just more of the therapy speak that you all have got. That's not accurate. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the attachment styles, but I think what you all understand avoidant attachment to be is not what Tori is doing. There's nothing about her that appears to be avoiding the emotional experience or be pushing away a person who's getting closer and closer. She seems pretty secure, if that's what I don't know Paul from nothing. Thank you. You know, this is my favorite. Let me get big on the screen. This is my favorite compliment. I always need a moment when somebody recognizes my humor, because I am the funny one in my family. I am the comedian, okay? And so you see me. Thank you. I'm honored. You know what show he was on? I don't know anything about Paul. So Tori seems really appropriate in this experiment. She's open. She's having the conversations. You know, she kissed him on the altar, which I mean, if I was doing a show like this, I think I would kiss at the altar too. I would do a peck. We were getting married. Yeah. So he understands dynamics. I think Paul really understands dynamics between men and women. He just doesn't know how to communicate them, I think, in therapy, because he's not a therapist. Oh, your friend was one of his matchmakers under his company? How was that? Paul was on, oh yeah, I know they said he came over from the other show over there. The show's been removed over there under national investigation. Is this because of the coercion and the sexual abuse stuff or assault stuff? My God, today. Okay. Yeah, so she's not an avoidant. She says the sex was great, but mentally she wasn't ready. She was really questioning if he's being authentic. And loyalty is not shared, right? She's recognizing that loyalty is not shared. I like Tori's friends. I think they are supportive. And then I wrote, there are rich men in Tori's DMs. I really do think so. She's tired of his shit and doesn't want to coddle his feelings anymore. I mean, I like that she got sick and tired of trying to understand, you know, trying to be patient and understanding of Felipe constantly saying, I'm afraid I'm going to cheat. I'm afraid I'm going to cheat. I'm just like, bro, that is so whack. That is so whack. What are you doing here? Get it together. Get it together. Okay? And YouTube in DC? Okay. Felipe. Oh, Felipe. Now, I would love to see a before of Felipe. How is he different now? Because he said he had a glow up. Was he overweight? Did he have different hair? His apology to Mecca was bad. He has apologized to Mecca on IG. I heard Denise, the inner child whisperer. Okay. I heard Denise talk about the apology. I did think about how production placed who with who, right? Which expert got who. And I think it's specifically because Mecca is a Black man that they paired him with Paul. That's what I think. And I do think, I don't know, but I do think Black men probably appreciate a more familiar experience during therapy. Like you understand that our experience is different from most. And so our interaction is going to be different from, let's say, if Paul was talking to a white woman. It's hard. I just don't like the naming of the feelings for people. And I thought it was great that Mecca could share that he was bothered by the comments or, being called out by Paul. I didn't really see a problem there. I saw a coach. I don't know. And so because I'm not evaluating him at the standard of therapist, I'm like, he's doing the best he can. Paul is doing the best he can from his understanding. He's coaching. He's not a therapist, so he's not doing therapy. He's coaching. And if Mecca didn't have all this trauma, it wouldn't be an issue. Mecca is not appropriate for coaching. Mecca needs a trauma-informed therapist to help him deal with the feelings. So to me, there's too many layers to put the blame on Paul alone. Do you understand? That's how I feel. But I did see him apologize to Mecca online. Yeah. Felipe, he removed. Yeah, I'm curious. I think I was like the first one. But after the group dinner, the group therapy. After the group therapy where Mecca shut down, I feel like there was a conversation between people, right, in the production saying, we're going to put him with Paul after. Yeah, I think so too. I think he should be on the next one too. I think he probably should take some classes. I don't know if they're gonna keep having him co-lead, but I think they do enough screeners for the show, enough of the risk assessment that not much harm is probably going to be caused. I'm guessing. I don't know. Remember, these are grown adults who signed up for this. Now they don't understand the depth of therapy. I don't know. I think they did. If I say what you said hurt my feelings, you should say sorry. I was really hurt by what you said. Even if you don't agree, even if you were right, you should apologize. That's the kind and loving thing to do. Someone said you hurt them, even if it was a mistake, you should apologize. Okay. I don't like Paul on here due to the scandals of Married at First Sight UK. He is not directly involved, but it casts a shadow. I see. Oh. What's his name? Felipe. Physical attraction is only one part of what it takes to maintain a long-term relationship. Felipe is in lust. The way he was looking at Tori was just lust. There's like a glazing over of his eyes when he looks at her because he's only thinking about sex and how sexually attractive she is. As the show went on, he got to know her. He's like, you're smart and cool and interesting, and you have like a vision for your life. I don't know that he was anticipating that there would be one person who has all these things in her more than her looks. Like in character as well. I don't know why I keep giving Tori a rich white man. In character as well, Tori is exactly the kind of woman that rich men marry. She has her own money. She has a vision. She's a good person. She is going to pair well when he goes to big events, when he has to show her or introduce her to, donors and well-meaning people. She's going to blend right in. Felipe is so uncouth, so disheveled. I don't really believe that was actually his home. And if it was his home, somebody came in and cleaned it. I think they put in a few hours to make it look the way it did. I think they removed things and bought new things to put in there. I do not think he really lives in that space, and that's how he keeps it all the time. He said his mother and sister decorated. I think it's more than that. I think there was a number of things happening. I think Felipe is the kind of man. Okay, that's all I got. Is it an Italian restaurant? I think Felipe is the kind of man who would fall in love with a woman like Tori and cheat on her and cry, begging, sobbing on his knees, buy her $20,000 worth of things because he cheat to keep her. That's what Felipe gives me. For sure. Definitely hired a cleaner. I definitely think he's the kind of man to do that. Now, I do think Felipe can find a woman better than Tori. I don't know why people say stuff like that. I do think Tori is great, but I don't have the mentality that there's never anyone better. There's always someone better. There's always someone better. He could find some. There are many more Tories than there are Felipes. Well, based on who Felipe's character is, there's a lot of Felipes. There is another good-looking, hardworking, positive, collaborative woman who wants to be in a relationship. So there are no scenes, even though this is a lustful man, there are no scenes of Felipe pressuring Tori for sex. Wouldn't this be the man to do it? But he's not. In fact, he seems to be really patient and understanding of Tori and her needs. What if you don't mean it? What if should you not wait until you fully understand and agree where you went wrong so the apology is genuine? No, I hear you. I hear you. Not saying Paul didn't mean it. I'm just asking for my knowledge now. Okay. Paul is creating a show. So in my what I'm telling you about apologizing to someone, regardless of what you think happened or didn't happen, is just a standard for me. I apologize first. If somebody is coming to me with feelings, I felt hurt, I don't need to verify if their feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid from my perspective, but I'm a psychologist. If you tell me your feelings are hurt, I don't care about the details. I am sorry your feelings are hurt. That's me. Paul is on a TV show. He's doing a job. He's doing his job well. He's not a therapist, but he is doing his job well. I have very few critiques for him. So if he's doing his job and he's a coach, he has to set the frame, the scene for us watching. So what are you hurt by? What was it that I said that bothered you? I feel like it's a very appropriate coaching question and very appropriate for a show that's being produced where we need sort of the full story in this scene, because it's probably going to be in a separate episode from the episode. Do you understand? That's what I'm thinking. So in real life, I think people should apologize at the beginning. And I think Paul could have done that too, but he's a coach and this is a TV show. That's my perspective. I don't think we need to know. You think any of my clients come from a past session, tell me something I said hurt their feelings or something, and I'm going to say, what did I say? What did you hear? I'm not doing that. There's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way I would respond to a client like that. I'll say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. No, I didn't mean to do that. I definitely, it's never my intention to harm. Let's talk more about what happened. Because there's usually a lesson there. I think you can always find someone better suited for you rather than better than. Well, I think both. I think you can find someone better, right? I think he can find someone better looking than Tori, better fitting for him. She probably has better money, better access, better network. I think you can objectively find someone better and someone who's a better fit than you. I think there's always someone better. I do. And so I think you have to choose your partner every day. Is this person a good fit for you? I think you can find a better fit. I think you can find somebody objectively better. But if this person is going to be unique based on their personality, don't you want to keep them? Right? I want to keep. Okay. I think Felipe has a provider mindset. I hate that provider language, but I definitely think he views part of his role as someone who provides financially. He says he has a history of ghosting after the passion wears off. Nothing's wrong in the relationship, but he keeps looking for something wrong. I hated this. His sexual fantasy is Princess Leia as a slave. I hated that. Yeah, and it's that deep. It's that deep. I don't think that's that deep. I think that's just factual. When people leave a relationship, oh, he'll never find somebody better than me. They are 10 U's. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's how I felt. You remember when Princess Leia was Jabba the Hutt's prisoner? Because I also am obsessed with Star Wars. She was Jabba the Hutt's. She was wearing a very cute two-piece. You could just say two-piece, bro. That okay. People are allowed to have their fantasies. It's too soon. It's too soon. Oh, so would that make you Jabba? Okay. Felipe doesn't want children. Does Felipe even wash his own clothes? Okay. He's finding himself thinking of ways to end the relationship. Yeah. I don't know if it works. Does it work? I don't know if it works. I don't think so, because then these are the kind of people who will check in on an ex to see if they are with somebody better. And usually they are. Are they not? They usually are with someone prettier than you. I don't know if it's objectively or subjectively. They usually are very happy looking. They usually are doing things that they didn't want to do with you, but they're doing with the other person. Don't matter. Move on with your life. That's all I'm saying. Find what works for you. Find what makes you happy. Yeah. Devin. I like Devin. Out of all the men on the show, who would you pick to date if you had to? Devin. I like a lover boy, right? That's what I also picked in my real life. A man who prioritizes love and romance. And all that, I don't know, people might say corny stuff. So I like Devin. I do like Devin. Yeah, I think that's it. So single life was incredible. Single life was incredible. I love sleeping with a bunch of women. Why did he say this at the group dinner? Has he said it before? Just one-on-one with Tori? I didn't like that. But I did rewatch this scene like 3 times. I don't know. There was something about, because I was really, really feeling Cam and Michelle. And I was like, love is so beautiful. Like romantic love is so moving and beautiful. And so I was really feeling that. And so after, I don't know if I had like a more liking towards Cam and Michelle. So when Cam was giving all these facial expressions during, the men talking their foolishness, I was just like, I was locked in. I was like, this is so this is so crazy. I love that Cam was actually reacting to the absurdity of what was happening. And so I had to rewatch it. Who would you pick, Elson? Who? Who else? Nick? Who else would be sane? Who else? What mind games? Mecca will give you mind games. Adam will give you mind games. Nick won't really give you much or nothing. Felipe is gonna cheat on you. And Shawn is probably going to abuse you. I don't know. I'm just suspecting. There's no, okay. Any questions? As long as he doesn't drink too much. Well, yeah. I'm not really, I wouldn't be, of course I wouldn't be partnered with an alcoholic, but I don't really mind drinking, every other weekend kind of drinker or something. Cam was flabbergasted. His flobbers were gasted. Yeah. I am curious to see how it's all going to end. And yeah, wishing, I stopped saying which ones are going to be together. We know for sure Cam and Michelle. I do suspect Caitlin and Devin will say yes on decision day. BelleJolie and Mecca, I also think are going to say yes. I don't think Adam and Marissa are going to last. Shawn and Nikki are not going to last. Courteney and Nick, I don't think are going to last. And I think Felipe and Tori will end things eventually. They might say yes on decision day, but I think eventually they'll end things because he don't want no children and he doesn't want monogamy and he's an atheist. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. No, that's not who you need. Felipe gets on my nerves. That group dinner was a mess. It was a mess. I like the group dinners. I like leaving them to their own devices to have these conversations. So I think they're going to say yes. Should they say yes? Let's see if Caitlin shares more, recognizes that she is the one holding back and not really offering anything to him. I think she has the potential to raise, her emotional maturity. I would outdo Shawn and drive him crazy. I'm a wild child. My goodness, today. Does it? But see, I love group dynamics. I absolutely love group dynamics. So the group dinners are my favorite. The one-on-ones where they have to do all that sticky nonsense and feeding people, those make me cringe. They make me cringe. I almost fast forward through them, but then I'm like, I'm going to miss something Shawn says that's gaslighting and I have to catch it. I do wonder if Cam just likes how much Michelle likes him. When they went to her house, I feel like he saw the fullness of who she is as a person. And so I think it's the combination. I think, right, because I do encourage women to pick from the pool of men who like them. I think somebody should like you. But I think together, she likes him so much. She's such a good person. And she has all this complexity to her. He calls it edge. I don't know what he meant by that. Low key, I felt like he meant Asian when he said edge. But altogether, who Michelle is, I think he really likes her. Oh, finding joy with toy? What's the toy? Are you like a toy reviewer? We've been on for 2 hours and 22 minutes. You missed the whole thing. All the couples and my rants at the beginning about production. Adam with the mind games for sure. I do like the dinners. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Caitlin might open up by the time it's decision day, so they might say yes. Cam concerned me when he said he has to bring his A game all the time. He might get tired. Honestly, okay, I do feel like there is a fine line with some of these things. A man should feel inspired by yin energy to be better. What Cam was talking about, being in a better mood and being a better coach, is what I expect to hear from men who are really enjoying their relationship. They're better. She makes him better. Being around her makes her better. Her thoughts, her feelings around him makes him better. So I feel like this is the healthy version of that. The scene after the dinner with Caitlin and Devin triggered me. Oh, it didn't trigger me. When I was in an abusive relationship, alcohol wasn't a part of it at all. So he was just mean to me sober. When my boyfriend gets tipsy, he talks in prose, like poetry, and goes on and on and on about how much he loves me. So I can understand Caitlin's specific perspective in abuse is partnered with alcohol for her, It's not what Devin actually did, though. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't disrespectful. When she said she needed space, he did back up. Even when he was trying to give her a hug and she said no, he put his hands down. So, but even a happy drunk is still a drunk. And so I agree with you. As long as he is not a person who is misusing alcohol. BelleJolie is my favorite woman. She is the sweetest. And I would agree. She deserves the world. I hope she really has, I don't know. Mecca, I think, has the potential to get there. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, when Devin was standing at the door, I was yelling at him to go sit down. Yeah. So when I talk about men, right? I tell you all, my boyfriend is from the Congo. He's been living in America over 10 years. And I say he's a great man and he's still a man. This is what I'm talking about. Devin he doesn't understand how being a man can be intimidating to a woman in the presence. There's some things that men get that they don't have to think about. That if a woman explains it to them, a great man is going to be open to that explanation. He's probably not taught it. You know what I mean? About how much privilege he has and how he doesn't have to think about his safety as much as a woman. But I think if she explains it to him, he would be like, oh, my bad. I didn't mean any harm by that. I really didn't. I just wanted you to understand where I was coming from and how I was just looking for support from you. Why don't you like me? Yeah. I have a problem with Belle constantly fighting for Mecca. She needs to sit back and let him speak up on his own behalf. I agree. I do think that's like, the Black woman conditioning. What you mean Mecca is done? You don't think he's getting better? I need to see more because he said he's not undecided anymore. Now, they didn't let us see what he said he was, but I think it's yes on decision day. He's ready for more. Kind of like how I had to tell my really nice coworker why women refuse to go on hiking dates. He's very outdoorsy. Yes. Right? I heard about the Alpine divorce. Yes. It's not safe. Okay? I've done outdoor dates, but only to places I knew where there was a lot of foot traffic. I'm a woman. You're stronger than me. But yeah, the men's, what I do like about the show though, is there are mature people on it. So I can't watch Love Island where they're doing all those sick challenges together, but these are real people. These are grown real people who've had experiences before. So like Marissa was describing when she was 23 and not having a voice at all, I don't want to see that on TV. I don't want to see you talking to a man who is basically telling you you're loading the dishwasher wrong. I don't want to see that. But this version of her who's done so much work, I mean, she's still crying. All that crying when you start to talk about something is just trauma. It's just, but now she's in a place where she can better articulate her needs. You think Mecca is just performative and will leave after the show? I need Caitlin to curate a date for Devin too. I need it too. But she did say she would step her game up after she heard how much Courtney is trying to show and give to Nick. Yeah. I hope Mecca says no so Belle does not get dragged along for nothing. She wants to fight for that man, and I think anything will give her hope. Mecca needs a lot of work, and she is in his rehab. I agree. People don't have to be healed to find love, and I love that works. I agree. BelleJolie does not have to be his rehab, but often, right? Why I say relationships are for the evolution of your soul. Often people do find healing. Thank you. I'll look at it. Often people do find healing in relationships where there is, right? So BelleJolie is not necessarily going to give him unconditional love, but she's going to get damn near close. He's never had it from a woman before. If she is willing, right? Because this is her choice. If she is willing to hold space for him and be patient with him while he's doing this work. And it's not like he's staying stagnant. We're seeing 2 weeks. He's already like having epiphanies within 2 weeks. If he's going to be able to do that work, why should she not support him? I don't think she would be dragged along. I think she would be, I do think she's doing too much. But lots of people do too much in relationships. This is just one version of the thing. Real quick, Air Max. Nikki wants to, I have time. I'm not doing nothing else today. This is my big thing. That's why I'm on so long. Nikki wants a strong image of a relationship. She's not a bad woman, though. Yeah, I agree. She wants somebody who's really good on paper. I would be very concerned about how his relationship with his parents would manifest in the relationship. I would too. But that's a common challenge for a lot of couples. It's usually the mother-in-law that the woman has a lot of challenges with. In her case, it would be the father-in-law. That I wouldn't be surprised if Mecca's father-in-law made a sexual pass at her. Right? If this was, a long-term marriage, that if he was left alone with her in a room, we're doing a cookout and they happen to be in the kitchen together and nobody else is there, I would not be surprised if he was the kind of man to make some kind of innuendo, inappropriate comment. And if she was a different kind of woman, now, your wife cheating on you with your husband, your father, whatever. Okay, Ellie. Belle and Mecca argument was made for camera. It was a non-issue. Okay. Everybody's performative a bit. Yeah. That little Fred from Scooby-Doo. Okay. The man is stylish. He's an artist. Okay. Any questions? Any last thoughts? I think I'll see y'all next Monday for the next live. I think I'll make Mondays my live stream day. We'll talk about the holistic psychologist. Have y'all heard the stories? Read the article? Oh my God, I've had a man tell me he could not take me around his grandpa for that reason. Yeah, and they know. Mecca is also a model. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So wonderful. Check out the New York Times article. I'm also going to review. I stopped following that lady. I mean, I've never followed her, but I stopped checking in to see what she was doing, because sometimes grifters reach the highest of highs and then there's nothing you could do about it. So I just was like, some people, you just have to let them figure it out on their own. But I'm going to be talking about the Vice article, everything that's leading up to now with the holistic psychologist next week, Monday. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really enjoyed this. I'll see you all next week.